What is up, everyone? I'm Kevin.
And I'm Kyle. And we are the Brothers Williams. So today we are going to be talking about Joker. So we have previously done like an expectations video for the Joker and what we're thinking, what we were kind of expecting. So we've gone and seen it, and we've just come back, and we're going to tell you kind of our thoughts, our impressions, and do a little bit of like character analysis and what this kind of means in terms of like the DC cinematic universe.
Yeah. So really quick, we're just going to give our general ideas first. We don't want to spoil the movie for anyone who hasn't seen it yet. This was, in a way, everything I expected, and yet it wasn't.
That's like a very accurate way to put it.
It was everything I expected from a DC movie, and then some, with some wonderful twists that I didn't see coming that had me going for a while.
Yeah.
The acting was spectacular. Joaquin Phoenix. Joaquin. He did a wonderful job. He pretty much is Joker. Do you want to stop her?
Yes.
I'll keep talking. It's very much a film from the Joker's perspective, where, like we had kind of discussed previously, he's the protagonist of the film. That doesn't make him the hero, though. It's very much a Greek tragedy with superheroes set as the backdrop. So it's not a film for everyone. It's very dark, very brutal in some parts, sometimes uncomfortable, and I would not recommend taking kids to see it. It's rated R for a reason.
Yeah. No, there's nothing that like little kids, young teenagers would enjoy about this film.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a superhero kind of film where you've got heroes fighting villains. That is not at all.
It's not like the typical superhero movie.
Yeah, it really is. The superheroes and the villains, they're a backdrop for an in-depth, like kind of character-driven story.
Yeah, it's very much a character character. What do they call it? Character.
Do they call it a character analysis?
I feel like they do, but that might be wrong.
I don't feel like it's necessarily an analysis, though. Like, it doesn't show, like, it doesn't give, like, conclusions or anything like that.
Yeah, no.
So.
But I would definitely recommend going to go see it if you're a fan of Batman or the Joker or DC. Definitely go see it. If you're wanting something a little different from what Marvel has been putting out recently, go see it. It's a wonderfully done film. It's fantastic.
Yeah. If you want to see what I think is the best version of the Joker's origin story, this is it.
Yeah. Like
hands down. I mean, really.
Wow. Mind
blowing in a lot of different ways. So yeah, that's our general impressions.
Mm-hmm. All right, so now we're going to be talking more in depth on the actual film itself. So, spoiler warning right here.
Yeah. So, if you don't want to hear spoilers, click away. So, now you've been warned. So, the Joker is, what is it?
Arthur Fleck.
Arthur Fleck, yeah.
That's the name of the character.
Yeah. So it's a very interesting portrayal of the Joker that, like we were kind of talking about, is in a lot of ways draws from previous versions of the Joker, previous kinds of comic book aspects of the Joker, and really blends them in very well together to make a very believable, grounded expression of the Joker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I've been checking out social media and keeping up with these sorts of things. There are a few very small group of people out there who think the film is boring, and I can kind of get where they're coming from because it does take a while to build up the character. Because in a way, it's sort of like how the prequels of Star Wars was. Where we knew in the end what was going to happen to the character, but we didn't know how he was going to get there and become the villain that he was. So in a way, it did kind of drag in that aspect, but it didn't feel like any of it was unnecessary. Or that it detracted.
I mean, to me, it just really felt like a psychological thriller because like it was very tense.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there were times where I was like, is this where he's gonna snap? Is this where he's gonna like kill somebody? When's this gonna happen? Because he very much is a person on the edge of sanity. You know, he's had tons of trauma in his life.
Yeah.
And lots of like psychological issues that are not being
taken care of.
Yeah. I mean, so it's, you kind of really feel like there's a crack there, and it's just, when is the pressure going to get enough that it really just breaks?
Yeah, and in a way, I'll make a callback to Heath Ledger's Joker, but do it in Mark Hamill's Joker voice. Madness, as you know, is like gravity. All it takes is a little push. And for this version of Joker, there were so many instances where he was pushed and pushed and pushed. And that, like you said, that tenseness of, is this going to be when he snaps? Is it going to be here? I personally feel like there were many instances when he did snap that just compounded on each other and built up to his final transformation right before the curtains rose when he went on the show. That was the moment where he turned into the Joker. But it had always been there.
Yeah,
in a way.
In a way, you know, like we had said, like it's kind of a Greek tragedy. That definition is like where a character faces the reality of who they really are. And so in a lot of ways, it was a journey of the Joker discovering who he really was in his mind. Like, very much so this film is from the Joker's perspective and from his mind. I think that there were plenty of places where if he had gotten the right help, he could have not become the Joker.
Yeah.
But, you know,
if people had treated him differently.
Yeah, if he'd been treated differently, if the mental health system had been different in Gotham, you know, it definitely could have been very different. But like I was saying, he definitely feels liberated. And from his point of view, the film very much gives that impression.
Yeah.
You know? Like when he's about to go on and be the Joker finally, like it's like, you know, he's seeing this as the curtains finally opening, you know, figuratively and literally, and he's becoming who he was always meant to be in his mind. And, you know, he's coming out to applause. And whether he realizes it or not, which I think he does in his heart of hearts, but he wants to have the illusion that they really are happy to see him.
Yeah.
He's willing to maintain the illusion that they really love him.
Yeah, and we were discussing a little bit. This almost in a way makes callbacks to several of the Jokers who've been previously portrayed in the cartoons, the video games, the TV shows, the comic books. One thing that I always feel like, there's a couple of different things I feel about the Joker that sort of encapsulate him overall, no matter what role or what actor is portraying him. He has always got this message or this thing to prove to the world around him, and that's very much so in this film, where everybody, it's kind of looks down on him, treats him like he's not worth anything, that he's not funny, that he's basically just a waste of space. And like he said in the film, I didn't even know if I existed. And I think, as somebody who's a fan of Scarecrow, I've sort of looked into what it is that the Joker's truly afraid of, and I think what it is being forgotten, not being seen. And as this being Joker's debut, he made sure he was seen. He made sure no one's going to forget him ever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's very true. You know, and it's just really a fascinating look at to, like, when he finally comes on and he's the Joker, it's still like we can see his point of view, mm-hmm. and like the questions that are being asked and what he's saying and like why things are funny to him, but we're also like still, because like the Joker will come out all the time and just do random stuff, right? He'd come out and, oh, it's so funny, and kill somebody, you know? And we're like, what the heck, you're a freaking crazy man. But there's like an internal logic as to why he thinks it's funny, you know? He's been like having these delusions of grandeur about being a comic and coming on to this show for years. And now that, you know, this hero of his is like totally different from how he imagined, like, it's almost like because he's so delusional, he takes it as a personal offense that like somehow this guy has suddenly changed almost, mm-hmm. and that he needs to be punished. When like, you know, we as the audience know that that's not the reality, but we see kind of like from his point of view. It's like, so, yeah, I mean, I just think it was a really good portrayal, and like you really do get into his viewpoint, almost to the point where like I question which things actually happened.
Yeah, there were so many instances, like when they did the reveal of what had actually happened and what didn't, it was like,
because you've got this girl who's a neighbor, and in the movie, like, a sudden romance kind of comes out of nowhere, and like at first I was like, man, he's got to be thinking this up, like it's got to be fake.
And then they dragged it on out.
Yeah, it kept going, and I was like,
well, I guess he did.
I was like, is this lady gonna be like Harley Quinn or something?
And then they revealed every single time she was on screen almost. It was all in his head.
Yeah, and so you're just like, what the frick? And then they give this amazing reveal, which I was like, this plays into so much of like the Batman Joker, like two sides of the same coin.
I'm Bat Dog.
Yeah, she was. But like, so they say like his mother is like writing letters to Thomas Wayne.
She's convinced.
Yeah, she used to work for him, and she is telling him like, hey, Arthur, your son, is doing so poorly, like, come help us, I know you're a good person, and all this stuff. And Arthur steals one of the letters she's writing and reads this and finds out for the first time, and he's like, am I Thomas Wayne's son?
Yeah, that was like, holy... If he had been the brother of Bruce Wayne, that would have been... like... It would have brought in the dynamic of them being
two sides of the same coin.
They're polar opposites.
Yeah.
So much closer.
Yeah. Which is super interesting. Like, I mean, it's just like, Sophie, hey, stop playing with the thing. But no, I mean, I was sitting there like,
Mine now.
Like, my mind was blown. I was like,
we both looked at each other and were like, what?
Yeah. We're like, oh my gosh. Which, like, I could totally see that kind of a thing.
Yeah, because they've pulled stuff like that before in the comics.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I was just like, what? But then it's really kind of revealed down the road that
his mom was crazy.
Yeah, she
and had delusions as well.
Yeah, and that she adopted him. And
which, in a way, harkens back to previous Jokers where you don't know who he is. He doesn't have an identity of any sort beyond this persona.
Yeah.
He gives all these different backstories that don't match up. Doesn't have an identity. And in a way, we still sort of get that because he's adopted. He doesn't know his previous name if he even had one.
Yeah.
He's just... He kind of has to build himself from there.
Yeah, I mean, the Joker is like a constructed identity. And that is the identity that he assumes. And previous identities don't really hold any value.
Mm-mm.
And, you know, even though it's kind of revealed that... It's revealed that Arthur Fleck is not the son of Thomas Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
In a sense, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because...
it doesn't change anything that he's thinking about himself.
Yeah.
Or how he feels that other people are treating him.
Right. And if he sees himself as the son of Thomas Wayne, then, you know, he's going to act that way. And he's going to, like, take vengeance on the Waynes and, like, all this different stuff.
Are you going to... yeah, sure. Okay. Anyway.
But yeah, so I mean, like, he'll go after the Waynes and, like,
try to make some sort of connection with them. I think that was also part of his I didn't feel like I existed, is the fact that he's constantly trying to connect with people in his weird way that he does. And sort of never does.
No, he really doesn't.
As the Joker, he never will truly connect with anybody.
No, and the only times that he's felt appreciated or wanted, it almost feels like is when he's Joker.
Mm-hmm.
When he's this symbol of anti-elitism, this populist movement that happens in the movie. It's, you know, they're all emulating him, yeah. And so he goes, this is the only place I belong. And at the end, he's up in front of all these, all of these criminals, rioters, and he is their prince. He is the clown prince of Gotham.
The clown prince of crime.
Yeah. Yeah, and so it's like, to him, it only makes sense to be the Joker because that's the only place he's felt, that he exists. And also, I think you see him more in control of his, like, uncontrollable laughter as the Joker.
Yeah,
which is an interesting thing because, it's this medical condition or psychosomatic condition at the very least, where he has uncontrollable laughter. But when he's Joker, it's not this uncontrollable thing. He feels in control. He feels liberated from his past in a way.
And you see that, like we were saying, when the curtain rises and he becomes Joker, you see that in his mannerisms, the way he holds himself, the way he talks. He's a completely different person than what he was the moment before. He is Joker, and it felt completely natural. It felt just like the comic books, Mark Hamill, all of them. It felt like he was all of Joker finally encapsulated into one idea. Yeah,
definitely. And throughout the movie, like, as he, like, commits these murders, right? I don't know. How did that... Sophie hit the camera.
Oh, it should be fine. It just shook a little.
But anyway, there's, like, especially, like, I noticed it when he killed his mom, and what was the other one? Where there was, like, there was a lot of light in the background. Oh, it was right at the end.
Yeah.
Like when he killed his own mother, in a sense, destroying his own origin. He was like bathed in light, and he felt like it seemed like he was claiming his own identity. And in the end, when he's in Arkham Asylum or Arkham Hospital, but
It's basically the asylum.
yeah, he kills one of the psychiatrists off screen. Sophie. Hey.
He kills one of the psychiatrists off screen, and everything around him is this bright white light, and he starts dancing. So again, he feels very liberated. He feels like this is, again, where he's meant to be.
Yeah. And I think that it's interesting if you would go back. I think that you would see a lot of that as he makes conscious decisions to like kill these people who represent something about him that like he's claiming his own identity as Joker. And like, obviously we as the audience go, man, this is horrific. But in terms of the movie, it's a very symbolic of the protagonist choosing their own path, which I think is important in terms of the Joker because he still had choices to make. It would be wrong to sit here and say, there was no way he could have turned out any different, because then that excuses his actions.
Yeah.
Which isn't the message, I think, of the story or of the movie.
Come here. Don't chew on that leg.
Sophie, come here. What you gonna do, girl?
She's like at the camera leg. So.
Come here, girl.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I think that this is to like, I don't know that the movie's purpose is to explain like how the Joker became the Joker as much as it is to say like, this is something that can happen.
And it can be prevented.
Yeah, because there are, like we said, lots of junctures where it could have been prevented. There were people there, there's a systemic issue where they cut the funding to the mental health and social services, in the city.
And Thomas Wayne, even though he played like he was a good guy, he treated people like dirt.
Yeah, and like he could have treated him differently, Like he didn't have to sit there and go, "Your mom's crazy," and like he could have been more compassionate, not to say like it's right for Joker to go and stalk people.
Yeah,
but like at the same time, how do the rest of us interact with people who have these issues? How do we treat them? How do we, do we make them feel like they are less than the rest of us? Because that's a very isolating thing to say. You don't belong in this human experience that the rest of us are having. And, the movie very much says that in a lot of different ways. At the beginning of the movie, it's revealed there's a strike from the garbage men in the city, and so there's trash piling up. And, Joker at the end says, "You guys treated us like trash. You did nothing for the regular people." And in a sense, that's like symbolic that they're not doing anything to help the situation. The rich people are the ones who had the power in the system to make a difference, but they chose not to, And so you see this kind of like parallel there, that these people are being treated just like the trash, as in nothing's being done about it. And so I think it's, it's a very interesting parallel that goes in there. And the Joker has some valid points, valid complaints. The way that he's gone about it is definitely not the right way, but in his own mind,
it makes sense.
It makes sense. It's logical, and that's the way to do it. So, yeah.
What else can be said? I mean, it's a very artsy sort of film, very metaphorical, very symbolic in many ways.
Yeah.
And you feel that throughout the whole film. It doesn't feel like a comic book movie.
No.
And the fact that Joker, in his own way, is responsible for the death of the Waynes without being directly responsible for it, further ties in his character to Batman in a way.
Right, and there's been multiple versions where, the Joker himself killed Martha and Thomas Wayne before he becomes a Joker. Mm-hmm. Other versions, like in the comic books, there's 3 people who are the Joker. Mm-hmm. Which, this kind of plays into that as well. Where it's like, there's the Joker, but then there's the man in the mask who was, in a sense, being the Joker because he was influenced by the Joker. He quoted what the Joker said on TV right before he shot Bruce Wayne's parents, Mm-hmm. And so now you have this sense of like, the Joker did this thing, and to Bruce, it's like the same person, where it's like, this is the entity of the Joker has done this thing, which, like we said, it's paid homage to a lot of different aspects of the comic books and movies, and that's just another one where it's kind of taken an influence from the comics of like, this is the Joker. He's not necessarily directly responsible, but these people who are inspired by him do things in his name. Mm-hmm. So fascinating. I think that like so much of the film has meaning in it. Yeah. Like you said, with that artsy kind of stuff, which I'm a nerd for that. So.
Yeah, it was just right. It was so good.
Yeah.
Now, the question now is, where does this take DC moving forward as far as the movies are concerned?
Right.
Because now they've got Robert Pattinson playing as Batman, and it sort of, from what I've heard, it sounds like it's going to be set in the 90s, so he's going to be very much a sort of young adult again. So it's like, will we see Joaquin Phoenix reprise his role in conjunction with this new Batman that's going to be coming out? Because, I mean, they could.
Yeah.
Because they showed the age difference between this Joker and Bruce Wayne. It's very big.
Yeah.
Like we'd been discussing before, it feels like they're gearing up for the Legion of Doom for like an overall DCEU sort of thing.
Yeah.
Whether or not they do that in the end, who knows? But they could very much tie this into the other DC movies, and it would feel completely natural. Like the music, the cinematography itself, the character development, it all feels very grounded in what was already established as DC.
Yeah. I think it like really flows into, especially the original Batman trilogy, of like that real grounded kind of reality.
The Christopher Nolan trilogy?
Yeah, the Christopher Nolan trilogy, where it like feels grounded in reality. And I feel like this portrayal, and it bleeds over into Heath Ledger's portrayal of like, he's like, has this message of, you rich people, you normal people, you'll eat each other. And in Joker, the rioting people have signs and saying, eat the rich, and it's very like, almost, there's a lot of things that kind of are homages, I feel, to Heath Ledger's portrayal of the Joker, and man, and he really feels like unpredictable, right? Which is part of like why it makes it suspenseful. He kills this guy in his apartment, and it's really brutal, like stabs him in the neck and the eye, and smashes his head against the wall repeatedly. And there's like another one of his coworkers who is like a midget, and he's just like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, like we thought he was gonna die.
No, I was like, he's gonna kill that guy. This is gonna be horrible. But Joker's just like, no, you were so nice to me. You can go. And then the door's locked, and you're like, oh, jeez. This is classic Joker. Like, oh, the door's locked. Why didn't you leave? I'm going to kill you for not leaving. But no, he just is like, go on. And it's like, what the heck? So, yeah. And I think that is really what kind of gives Joker a lot of, like, that's what really gives him the creepy appeal. Creepy factor, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
Is that you don't know what he's going to do. He's got his own twisted logic that when we see the movie, it like makes sense to us, but at the same time, he still doesn't, because we're still going, what's he going to do?
Yeah.
Is he going to kill this mom and her kid? We don't know.
We don't know what happened. It just kind of left it very vague.
Yeah, he broke into their apartment and was sitting there. She asked him to leave. We don't see how he left.
We don't see her again.
Yeah, we don't see her and her daughter again. It's possible that they're both dead.
But we don't know.
And that almost, and like getting back into Joker's perceptions, like he's asked, how did you even end up in the hospital? And he's like, nobody knows. We don't know how he ended up in the psychiatric hospital to begin with.
Maybe he doesn't know.
Yeah, maybe he's killed all sorts of people. We're led to believe that he hasn't. Kind of.
But again, it's like...
is he forgetting intentionally? Is he blocking it out? If he killed that lady and her kid, does he remember? Does he know? Like...
Can you stop eating trash?
Oh, but it's so much fun. But yeah, so I mean, it's very, like we said, this film is from Joker's head. And there's a lot of things that we don't remember, we don't see, that it's possible that he doesn't remember either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a fantastic film with lots to unpack.
Yeah, we're going to probably be discussing this more for days or whatever, but definitely go see it. Make of it what you will. Critics and people who are overly sensitive will say lots of differing things. It's definitely a film that you need to see for yourself to decide what it means. Don't let someone else decide for you, because that's really what the whole film going experience should be, is you come to your own conclusions, which is why I don't like when people on YouTube do the ending explained for XYZ movie. And it's like, who cares what you think? Let me decide what it means to me.
Right. Watching films is an interpretive act. We can interpret it. We are part of that story. Even though so much of it is shown to us in the film, like, we still are making sense of it. We're still interpreting it. And that's what storytelling is all about. It's a participatory thing. So when you go and watch this movie especially, like, it is open for interpretation. There are a lot of things that are not necessarily given a hard answer, but you can like fill in the gaps. You can make sense of it how you will. And so, let us know what you think, what your impressions are, how you make sense of this film if you do end up going and seeing it. Sorry, Sophie, not that. But yeah, so we thought it was great. Really fantastic.
Probably it'll be a while before we see it again.
Yeah,
like
it's
you were
heavy.
saying, it is so
It's
heavy.
heavy. Like kind of like messes with you a little bit. But definitely an interesting movie. Lots of different messages that can be said.
Hello, Sophie.
She French you?
Yeah.
Ew. But yeah, so leave us a comment, just throw us a like, subscribe if you're not subscribed. And that, as they say,
Is that.